Welcome, ladies and gentlemen, to an all-new reaction and review. Tonight, guys, I'm taking a look at a sci-fi film from 2013. That movie is Star Trek Into Darkness. Now, I'm going to tell you guys right now, I have been really looking forward to this one for two reasons. One, the villain in this thing is Khan, and my favorite classic Trek film was Star Trek II, The Wrath of Khan. So, I'm kind of biased going into this just simply because I've always liked Khan as a character. And plus the fact that Khan is being played by Benedict Cumberbatch certainly helps. And two, I really enjoyed the first Trek film. After finally getting to watch it earlier this month, I am really looking forward to this one, because for those of you who didn't catch that previous review, which is actually up at about like the start of the month, I claimed, and I still say it to this day, that the only real negative that movie had, outside of a shitty villain, was the unnecessary use of lens flare. And I said that if this thing was anywhere near as bad, if I ever meet J.J. Abrams, I'm going to dig out his eyes with a broken light bulb, and that threat still stands. So, I'm looking forward to another awesome entry in the series, hopefully with less lens flare. But hey, the only way I'm going to find out if this thing is any good at all, or if I'm going to be blinded by shit tons of needless lens flare, is if I shut up and I push play, and I'm going to do that right now. So, without further ado, it's time to kick back, relax, and check out Star Trek Into Darkness. Okay, I didn't know that the Enterprise was also technically a sub. That's really fucking cool. Seriously, guys, that guy's really fucking awesome. Wait a minute. That is Peter fucking Weller. Holy shit, guys. So, we now have RoboCop as a fucking admiral in Starfleet. That, guys, is probably one of the coolest goddamn things I have ever seen. That is really awesome. You know, guys, that actually is probably the most terrifying thing a Starfleet captain can tell anybody, is to put on a red shirt. Perhaps, honestly, that is just because of my knowledge of the classic series and everything, but if I honestly were on board a starship and the captain told me to do that, I would probably run in sheer terror. Just saying. Okay, guys, I believe this is the first time I've gotten to see a Klingon bird of prey in this new film series, and I'm gonna tell you, looks fucking amazing, man. That is a badass looking ship, dude. And also the new look for the Klingons is really cool, really cool too. I kind of like how they've added like little like piercings onto their, like forehead ridges. Again, it's a really nice change, guys. Well, guys, this honestly is not much of a shock. Cumberbatch is amazing as Khan. Seriously, guys, they have finally given him a chance to genuinely act, and my God, that was amazing. Okay, guys, I really kind of have to say this. I genuinely thought it was sort of cool having, classic fucking Spock meet up with friggin' like reboot Spock in the previous film, but to also have it happen here, it just feels a little bit, I don't know, gratuitous, sorta. Perhaps, honestly, it is just me. I really didn't think that this story was in desperate need of Nimoy's presence, you know what I mean? Okay! I was not expecting Khan to kill anybody by literally crushing their fucking skull like a goddamned melon, but, well, the sound of it was certainly sick. I'm actually kind of happy that it wasn't on camera. That, just the frickin' sound alone was genuinely disgusting. You know, guys, this scene is incredibly touching. It is incredibly powerful. I love the fact that they tried to reference the saddest scene in the history of Star Trek, but it just doesn't work here. It really feels kind of token and hollow to me, and I really do not understand why. Well, guys, that was Star Trek Into Darkness. Let me shut that off. Okay, so before I get into reviewing the movie itself, I want to touch on two things. First one has to do with lens flare, because I remember when I covered the first film, I said that if this thing had as much lens flare, I was going to go after J.J. Abrams' eyes. Well, at this moment, J.J. Abrams' eyes are safe, because there is vastly less lens flare here. However, though, my threat still stands, because if and when J.J. Abrams pumps out a third Star, Trek film, and there is as much lens flare there as there was here, I'm still going to take his fucking eyes. Why? Because there's still too much goddamn flare in here, and it makes the film look incredibly cheap. Mind you, there is still vastly less than what was in his first Trek outing, but there's still too fucking much, and it makes the film look cheap, which is startling considering the budget that this damn thing was made on. So anyway, I just sort of want to get that covered and want to get that dealt with. Now, another thing I want to talk about is references and callbacks, because I know that both the previous film and this one have tons and tons of references and callbacks to various Star Trek shows, episodes, and movies, and Normally, I love every single one of those references and, callbacks. I think a lot of them are just amazing because I've been a long-time Trek fan. However, there were two references in here that I just didn't like because they didn't have any weight to them and they didn't have any power to them. Both of them are references to Star Trek II, The Wrath of Khan. One of them is, naturally, the famous scene where Kirk is shrieking out Khan's name. That is featured in here, except it's Spock, but that really isn't the point. But the scene doesn't have any real power to it. It really doesn't have a whole lot of weight to it. It really feels as if it was ridiculously tacked on and forced on, which is vastly different from, say, in this film, the reference to the fucking Gorn or the fact that we get to see a Tribble. Those actually were kind of nice little ones that I never thought I would see or hear in the case of the Gorn. But to basically just tack it in there for the sake of tacking it in there is not actually doing a decent fucking reference as much as just pandering to douchebags, and that felt terrible. Now the other scene, which I'm going to try to avoid, commenting on it much because it has a huge spoiler, is by far the saddest scene in the history of any Trek film. In fact, it is a scene that still fucking brings tears to the eyes of every Star Trek fan who sees it. Even fucking those who've watched it 50, 60 times and know the entire scene by heart. And they threw it in here, except they swapped the roles of the two characters who are in the scene. And once more, it really doesn't have as much weight or as much power as the scene it is referencing. So where that scene leaves every single viewer a crying, weepy, blubbering mess when they are watching The Wrath of Khan, here you just see it and you go, okay, can we move on to the next scene? It also doesn't help that scene kind of sort of built into the entire next film in the classic Trek series. So it took them an entire movie to essentially undo what happened in that scene. And in this thing, that same scene is undone in 10 minutes, which is beyond fucking sad, okay? It really is. It is fucking pathetic that you would go and undo a scene which you were attempting to make, strong and, powerful. To go and completely just undo it in 10 minutes is fucking sad. And mind you guys, everything else in this movie is awesome, and I'm going to try to explain why. But that one point in it is just awful. So, seeing as how I'm talking about, writing, why don't we continue talking about the writing? Story-wise here, guys, we have an awesome movie. We have a fantastic, very well-written movie, except for the fact that they had a real powerful scene, and then they just basically went, no, fuck you, and then they undid it in 10 goddamn minutes. Okay, that seriously is like the only negative I have in terms of writing. Well, there is one other one, and it is that Khan is criminally underused in this film. It seriously almost feels to me as if they were trying to work towards something else, and then at the absolute last second decided to say, no, we actually want to use Khan in fucking stead, and then very quickly had to, re-fucking write things so that way now the villain is Khan, and thus Khan only really is in the film, all told, for like 20 minutes. And he really doesn't come off as a threatening villain at any point during that 20 minutes. And I know that Benedict Cumberbatch can play threatening. I have seen him play incredibly threatening in the fucking Hobbit 2. So I know he can play an ultra-threatening villain if you give him the chance, and J.J. Abrams and his crew did not give him that chance. So I'm hoping for there to be another film at some point where we get to see Cumberbatch completely shine as Khan. But this thing, it seriously felt like a little bit of a misfire in terms of Khan. And mind you guys, now that actually is just in terms of how he was used. It kind of felt like a bit of a misfire. Now, with that said, everything else in terms of writing is awesome, because we have here a story which is really good, again, barring those couple of minor issues I have mentioned. So guys, like, writing here is great. Acting here is also great because we have mostly just the cast from the first film coming over, and the few new actors, which include, we had friggin' Peter fucking Weller and Cumberbatch and a few others. All of them also shine here, and all of them are turning in top-notch showings. So yeah, guys, acting here is fantastic. I'm actually trying to think if there's any moment where it just felt kind of, shit. Well, I would have to say that, what in the hell was his name? Gotta look it up real quick. Zachary, yeah, it is Zachary fucking, it's Zachary Quinto, I'm not sure how you say his name. When he is tasked with doing the famous fucking scene where he shouts out Khan's, name, he really just has no real feeling there, which is sad because at that point Spock is supposed to be just brimming with feelings that he has probably not felt in a long fucking time. He is supposed to be incredibly emotional, and then he just gives out this really he gives this deadpan shout, and it just kills the entire scene. A scene that honestly was not really that, good anyway, but I've already talked about why. Anyhow, beyond that, acting is fantastic. The acting is awesome. The soundtrack here is great. Again, actually, I shouldn't say the soundtrack, because the soundtrack is like 2 or 3 licensed songs, which kind of feel a little bit, out of place here. The score, though, is fantastic because it is your typical Star Trek style score, and it works. It works very, very well. Camera work here is really good. Lighting is awesome, and this also ties into camera work, as long as J.J. Abrams is able to fucking cool off his boner for lens flares, then guys, lighting and camera work are awesome. And I swear to fuck, I genuinely hope that J.J. Abrams is able to get rid of this shit if he does a third film. And I would like Star Wars fans to just sort of think about this. J.J. Abrams is working on your franchise next, and he is bound to do this very same bullshit with fucking lens flare to your films as badly as he did to ours. You have been warned. Anyway, camera work is good and lighting is good as long as there is no lens flare going on. Ultimately, guys, am I able to recommend Star Trek Into Darkness? Oh, fuck yes, guys, I am. This guys is an awesome action movie. It is a fantastic sci-fi film. Again, minus those few, like negatives, which you can totally look, past because everything else compensates for it so well. You do have here a very solid movie, and I highly recommend it. And now, guys, that I've seen this, I actually kind of feel the urge to go and watch my Blu-ray of Star Trek II: The Wrath of Khan, and I actually am going to go and do that, because, shit, I honestly am kind of in the mood for, more Khan, since this movie kind of left me, wanting. So anyway, guys, with that, we come to the close of another reaction and review. Until next time, ladies and gentlemen, take care, and I will see you all in the near future. Peace.